It was a massive undertaking and a huge loss for New Zealand.
Burma the elephant is unpacking her trunk after arriving in Australia following an epic journey across the ditch to her new home near Adelaide.
And an enormous gain for South Australia.
After months of planning, South Australia's newest celebrity animal, Burma the elephant, is finally here.
The Aussies celebrated her arrival enthusiastically.
Literally from Adelaide Airport right to Monarto, there was people somewhere, and whether it was on the overbridge, whether it was on a corner of a bend that we had to turn in, there was people, families there, wanting to get a glimpse of Burma coming in.
Well, we are anticipating to have eyes on Burma's motorcade pulling up to Monarto here. And in pictures just into the newsroom, here she is travelling through afternoon peak hour traffic and is now en route up the freeway. Spectators lining the bridges to give her a wave below.
I've just never experienced anything like that, and excitement of an animal arriving. And so I just, he's become, really special for the South Australian community. And I love it. That's good on them, and I just love it for Burma because, she should be. She's such a beautiful elephant.
New Zealand's last elephant has moved to Australia. Elephants are social creatures, and Burma was alone here, so she needed to go and live with a herd. The 42-year-old Asian elephant had been here for 34 years. And Andrew Coers, team leader of elephants and seals at Auckland Zoo, has known her for 25 of those.
I guess I've known her since I was 16. That's when I got my job at the zoo, at Auckland Zoo. We've grown up together.
I'm Gwen McClure, and today on The Detail, the logistics of moving an elephant across an ocean, the loss for New Zealand, what Burma's life will look like as an Australian, and the incredible relationship between her and her keepers. Andrew flew over to Australia with Burma last week. I asked him how the trip went.
For me, it was pretty, probably for all of us, really. I was pretty anxious through the whole move. It's one of those things that, you do put a lot of planning and preparation for. You plan for the worst and hope for the best. But, she did just remarkably. I was so impressed with her. We had both Corinne and myself and our vet, James, travelled with her through the whole transport. And then my other two colleagues, Odin and Laurel, they initially helped with the crating, and then we had to rush them off to a commercial flight to kind of arrive at that same time, so we're here for the unloading as well. So, yeah, but Burma handled it like a trooper because it's, you don't really want to generally be moving them at 42 years of age, just particularly as Burma's familiar with Auckland Zoo. That was her home for the last 34 odd years, and it's a big change for her coming to an open range safari park where there's wide open spaces. And something that we're noticing here at the moment is that she's very much on alert with all the different noises, because obviously within the city you've got all the white noise of all the different city noises that you have. Whereas here, it's so quiet that, you get all these unusual animal noises or vehicle noises that, she's like, oh, what's that over there? What's this? And so we're having to, I guess, support her through those. But, she's made leaps and bounds. And with having her four kind of keepers around her just has helped immensely with her settling in.
The first stage of that settling in is quarantine at Monarto Safari Park.
It's essentially kind of, a restricted space where we can manage, all her food, any waste that sort of stays within this quarantine facility. But it encompasses her barn, which is a pretty large barn actually, and then an adjacent yard, so she can come out of her barn into an area outside, which isn't too big, but it's kind of, something that we have to do as part of this legislation. And then I think we're out of quarantine around the 13th of December, which she can then enjoy her first habitat space.
So she's in the barn for another a few weeks, and then she'll meet the herd. How many elephants are in the herd?
No, so she's the first elephant here. So again, and it's to Burma's benefit in a roundabout way, because being the first here, she gets to get familiar with the property and the site. We don't have exact dates when the next elephant is arriving, but it is likely to be Permai from Perth at the later end of January. fingers crossed, and that's when she will meet, the next one to arrive, and then at the later end, again, still not confirmed, but the later end kind of March, April is another 2 from Taronga Zoo. And then later, once Petromas from Perth, the male that's coming from Perth, once he's out of must, so his must starts shortly. Once he finishes that around May, June, he'll hopefully be popping over after that.
His musk.
Must, yeah. So must is for male elephants, there's a period which may last anywhere from, let's say 3 months to 6 months, sometime between then, a full must. And that's where they got a high testosterone boost in their system, and they'll generally be sparring with other males then, but in a zoo environment, that's when they can get quite full of themselves, and they go off their food quite a lot, and and they get quite agitated. And so we have to be very careful around him. You just wouldn't really want to transport them when they're a must.
Okay.
And so so we'd want to wait for outside of that period. Okay.
What happens if the elephants don't get along in this new herd?
We've got enough, we've got 4 habitats within the precinct of elephants here, and so there's enough space to be able to shift and juggle elephants around if they don't get on. All of them, thinking out loud here, all of them have socialised in one form or another with other cows. So, like Burma's been with Cashin, and then we brought Angelie in, which was a complete, she was with Cashin for a large period of her life, and then we brought Angelie in, and that introduction went super well. Like, she was not aggressive at all. She was gentle, and I guess the only thing that we would be concerned about is that they're all outside of Burma's the oldest, but the other 3 are similar ages, and a little bit about them sorting out kind of where they all fit within the herd structure. But outside of that, it's just time, isn't it? It's just making sure that we're seeing the right signs, that now's a good time, that they come to meet each other, and it will initially be done between a barrier, and if the signs are good. And, Angelie and Burma, that was literally within 24 hours. Once they actually touched each other's trunks and saw each other, Burma wanted to ignore it at the start. Like when we first arrived and she hopped out of her crate and came into the barn, Burma was the other end of the barn, and Burma literally turned her back to her. It was like, you can't see me, I'm not here. And it wasn't until we got them the next day to face each other and touch trunks that they were like, they were inseparable. They wanted to get in with each other, and we jumped straight at it, whereas most people would think maybe that was a bit too soon, but the behaviour we were seeing was like, now's the time to do it. They all let us know. That's kind of where I'm at with it. He's such a gentle elephant. I, at this stage, touch wood, have no reservations about her introductions with the other cows. And what we'd like to see is her form a relationship with Permai, and then that will help. They'll be able to support one another when the 2 that already know each other that are coming from Taronga, help support one another when they meet those 2 elephants, and then eventually bring all 4 together, and that's the beginning of the herd.
So touching trunks is like the elephant shaking hands or high five or something?
Yeah, and just smelling each other. So they will link trunks. They will put their trunks, if they're comfortable, if they're really comfortable, they'll put each other's trunks up into their mouth, up into their 2 little holes in the roof of their mouth, the VNO duct, the vomeronasal organ ducts, and they'll blow air in there. But link trunks, touch each other, just sniff each other, all that sort of stuff are all good signs. And they'll start rumbling and squeaking and carrying on.
But even though Burma needs some elephant friends, she's had her human herd to take care of her. Andrew's on a team of 5 people who've gone over with Burma. The vet has already flown back. Another will return after a few months. The other 3 had one-way tickets.
I don't know, for the past 25 or so years, I think.
So it's a long time. I haven't
really thought about that part. It's a long time. Yes, it is. We've grown up together. And same thing, my wife, Corinne, who also works with her, she's been a good 23-odd years with her. Laurel's probably about 18 years with her now. Odin is around about 15 years with her. So we've all, spent that time, and, I don't know what we would do without her, which is why we're here.
Well, and so I understand that you're there kind of indefinitely. You don't know when and if you're coming back. Is that right?
Yeah, we're just trying to suss that out at the moment. We've got, Corinne and I have got teenage kids, Sian and Kaysen, and They're coming over soon, and we just want to make sure that we're here to support Burma with the introductions of the other elephants coming, and then we'll just kind of make some decisions based from all of that, really.
Burma arrived at Auckland Zoo in 1990 to join Cashin, a much-loved elephant who died in 2009 after 36 years at the zoo. When Andrew talks about his early days with Burma, it's not hard to see why he's packed up his life and family to move over there with her.
You'd often see Cashin and Burma walking around the park. And again, I was in awe of it, like they do. They take your breath away when you come around the corner and you come face to face with an elephant. But it wasn't until I started working for so the elephants were part of the same department. It was Pridelands at the time. It was called Pridelands at the time. And the elephants were part of it, but they had their own specialist keepers, which I didn't understand. But basically now it's because of the relationship that you form with them. And so once I was in and around those species, and once I guess started training some other species like camels and seals, which I was really interested in from a training point of view, elephants were like the ultimate. With the relationship that you form and their ability to manipulate and be cheeky and all these sorts of things, like elephants were kind of up there, with your great apes and your dolphins and stuff. And I just would stay later with the boss at the time and would go and put the elephants at the pool like at 6 o'clock in the evening and it was just good fun, And so, and that's what I guess triggered the interest and I wanted to sort of, head in there and form those relationships for myself. And that's just grown ever since. And then it's, for me now, it's about helping others form those relationships with the elephants, but it's also how I can help visitors to the zoo or school groups engage and connect with the elephants. And I don't have to do much. It's just creating an environment to allow it to happen for itself, because elephants are just so natural at it. And you see that with Burma's arrival, like the fact that the community of South Australia really came out in their droves. I was really taken back. I was actually, quite emotional about it, because they were literally lining the streets with signs welcoming Burma. Families had been there for hours, sitting down having a picnic, just waiting for that glimpse of Burma's crate coming past.
We live quite close to the airport, so we're always here having a look at planes, and the kids wanted to see elephant arriving today.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm here to see Burma and love elephants forever.
Because we're seeing the elephant.
And how excited are you to see the elephant?
Very excited. Really excited.
That's the bittersweet part. I'm really sad. I'm still sad about her leaving New Zealand and us not kind of being able to achieve what we wanted to achieve in New Zealand. But at the end of the day, her coming here and what we can offer her here, and to have that reception was really special. And I guess somewhat, now that she's looking really good and has made it all worth it. And I've got no doubt in my mind that the community is going to embrace her, and that just got, they showed that on her arrival, and I'm just, really grateful for that.
What did you want to achieve in New Zealand that you didn't? What do you mean there?
I wanted New Zealanders to have the opportunity to be in the presence of elephants, but a herd of elephants. It's not right keeping an elephant on its own, and it's not right keeping one or two. They should be socialised with a bunch of cows, and I'd love to be in a position to breed one day. And we couldn't achieve that in New Zealand, which is why, and with Angelie at the time, we wanted her to be in a position to breed. We're hoping to achieve that through artificial insemination, but that fell through at the time, and with COVID and everything else. And so we wanted to preserve her right to breed, so we sent her to Taronga Western Plains Zoo, and fortunately now she's pregnant. So hopefully she sustains that pregnancy and she has a calf of her own, and any fingers crossed it's a female calf, and then she's she's got a family that's going to stick together for the rest of her life, which is what she never got at the orphanage. I guess I would love to have achieved that for New Zealanders and had the space. And Auckland Zoo was always, we always knew that it had to get bigger. It was never going to be within the habitat that's currently there. And so it was just about how we were going to do that. But we need animals to do that. We need elephants to do that. And it just got harder and harder to achieve that. And so we had to do the right thing by sending Angelie to Taronga Western Plains and bring Burma here.
Okay. Tell me about the preparation leading up to this. How long and what you did?
For most international moves, you're looking at probably 12 months plus preparation, whether it's a permitting process, whether it's even to the extent of building crates, and then working out logistics from there. I guess the biggest issue that we had is Burma was meant to have been moved, back in 2022, and we got, I think, a week out before the receiving zoo pulled out of that move last minute.
Time now to address the elephant in the room. Australia Zoo's last-minute decision to pull the pin on plans to take Burma the elephant from Auckland Zoo.
I approached Australia Zoo to find out what was behind that decision, and they said that's because one of their elderly elephants, one of 4, is extremely unwell at the moment, and so they're just putting her health well above Burma's, and they say that they just don't have the capacity to take her in.
And that kind of put us in a bit of a waiting stage again, trying to find a new home. But once we had identified that, Zoo South Australia were looking to, do this crowdfunding campaign and look to build a herd out at Monaro Safari Park, once that was kind of confirmed, it was all go. There was a good 12 months of hard work by a load of people to kind of make it all happen. So it's dealing with different government agencies, whether it's the quarantine side of things, whether it's the CITES, or the Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species. All of these different permitting processes have to take place and require a bunch of different people to kind of, sign off that it's okay to do. And then you've got, obviously, the actual practical side of getting Burma used to her crane and, how we're going to manage staff accommodation, and the list goes on and on. I'll bore you too much if I keep going on this lead, but there's a lot to it. But, and it's just, good plan. It was good planning by a bunch of people, and it was, again, remarkable with how it all pulled off in the end and, very little to no hiccups, which is what we want,
I mean, I think it's fascinating. You're moving an elephant in an airplane. Can you kind of paint a picture of what that actually looks like, getting her in, what the crate looks like, and how you get her to a flight, kind of the very practical part of it?
Yeah, so the crate's specifically designed based off what we call IATA standards, which is essentially, crates designed to go on aircraft safely. It's kind of, I guess, as you would imagine, a traditional animal crate,
What a clever girl.
Good job, Burma.
Burma practiced and practiced going in her crate.
For Burma, it's got metal infrastructure, so framing to hold it all together. And then it's got wooden slats with ventilation gaps kind of all around there. There's a drip tray inside, so like a false floor, so any urine falls through the floor and feces where possible. We also put kitty litter in that drip tray to try and soak up as much of the urine as possible. And
That must be a lot of kitty litter.
Yeah, there is. But to be fair, it actually normally, I don't know if Burma just felt comfortable enough to not have to urinate as often as she did, but it wasn't actually too bad because we have a wrap that goes around the base to kind of contain it all in any waste within the crate. Because I can tell you, the last thing you want to do is break that wrap inside an aircraft and have to pay for an aircraft cleaning bill because it's very expensive.
I can imagine.
And so, but in terms of size, like Burma crate is, like I say, specifically designed to have a counter lever side. So when she goes through the door of the aircraft, she can turn sideways, and then basically that crate sort of fits up against the side of the aircraft. But we literally had, 2 centimetres in some areas to get that crate in and around the corner.
Wow.
And, so it's very tight. If she was a little bit bigger, we probably couldn't move her by aircraft, or would have to charter a much bigger plane or rely on the Air Force or something like that. But she just fitted in a 747. And we're grateful for that because it means we could get a direct flight here, which cut that timeline down significantly.
And so she's being lifted into she and her crate are being lifted into the aircraft with a crane, presumably?
No, so this is where you're going to catch me out because I don't know the exact terminology here, but so from Auckland Zoo, she gets craned onto like a high-ab truck. From there, she got taken to Air New Zealand Cargo, and that's where the high-ab from that truck offloads her onto like a rollerbed system, and that's where she goes through the wrapping and the weighing process. But from that rollerbed system, they then roll them onto like a dolly, which is what you often see them driving around the airport, loading up aeroplanes with different things. And then from the dolly, she then goes on to like a aircraft loader, which is essentially the same thing. But basically from there on, she's on rollerbeds the whole time and little lifting things, so she's not really suspended from anything. And they are our biggest concerns. You want to really minimise suspending the elephants up, whether it's a crane or a four hoist or something like that. It's a bit of relief from my point of view once she was on that rollerbed system. And then we also teed up a rollerbed truck at the Adelaide end, so she kind of rolled out of the aircraft, got lowered down and rolled onto the truck. And so then the only other lift that had to happen was at the Monado Safari Park end. And the lads here kind of craned her off and put her in position for us to open up the crate, and she could come straight into the barn here.
Does it complicate things for you that now there are no more elephants in New Zealand, so there's kind of nowhere to go if you want to be an elephant guy?
No, I don't think so. It's made it very clear. I think, I don't know if I could work other elephants at this stage, you know, outside of working with Burma and helping, you know, her here. Again, we're so focused on this being a success, I haven't really had time to think about what's next if it wasn't elephants, you know. And so that's for both Corinne and I. We're just at that stage where we've got a lot to do here with the introductions of other elephants coming and settling Burma, and that's kind of our primary focus. And it kind of has to be, because there's so much involved, and I don't know if I've touched on enough of it, but there's so much involved that we just got to be here to support her and, get her in the right headspace.
Back at Auckland Zoo, a few visitors had come to say goodbye, but they all understood why Burma had to leave.
I feel happy for her, but I'm sad that she's leaving.
It's a bit sad actually, but she'll have like friends over there and stuff, you know. Should go well.
And it's sad, but I'm really thrilled that she's going to go.
How do you feel about the fact that there's no more elephants in New Zealand after she leaves?
Oh, sad for me, but you know, it's the right thing. Yeah, absolutely the right thing. Yeah, and it's definitely the right thing for Boo. You know, she needs to be with a herd.
Those people would probably see us working in and around her and think, you know, we just hang out with an elephant. But there's a lot more to that, whether it's our ability to read and interpret behaviour, understand where Burma's at, like whether she's having a good day and a bad day. Saturday we had close to 40-degree heat, and so we're there and we're hosing her off, keeping her cool. But that kind of, you know, how she feels through that, we have to work through. We have to get all the medical stuff, whether it's her footwork and these sorts of things. We have to get all that back up to a level where she's allowing us to do all that again, because, again, even things like bathing her, it's in a new place. She doesn't want to lay over to be bathed or stand still to be bathed, because there's things that she needs to think about or worry about. So we need to kind of, I guess, rebuild that and make her feel comfortable to allow all that sort of stuff happen, to ensure that we're providing good husbandry and welfare care. So, you know, I guess, like there's us just hanging around, might look us hanging around, but it might be actually creating a comfortable space for her to see that we're comfortable, we're relaxed, so she can be relaxed too. And so there's, there's lots more to it, I guess.
It sounds like she's kind of your third child.
Oh, absolutely, and a super smart one. And that's the thing, like I often say, there's so many similarities between elephants and people, the way that they socialise, their grouping, the way that they treat each other, you know, and I think there's some lessons that we can learn from elephants in terms of their resilience and the affection that they show and the way they get over things. It's like it's like having a third child. But she's a pretty special one to all of us, and she's awesome.
That's all for today. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. Thank you to Andrew Coers. This episode was engineered by Jeremy Veal and produced by Alexia Russell. I'm Gwen McClure. Ka kite anō.